this may have been one of the events that will go down in disc golf history. There is so much to talk about, and it's not just MPO, because FPO had a record-breaking achievement that I am still kind of in shock of. Let's talk about it. And sorry if I sound a little bit low energy and tired. I just ran the LA Marathon and I'm very, very exhausted. I'm also in some random Airbnb, so I'm trying to keep it a little quiet as well. So hopefully it's not too miserable to watch. So for FPO, it was definitely looking like Ohn was going to take it down. She was looking so good, and her putting was lights out. But there were a few contenders. At one point, it looks like Eveliina might take it down. Henna was looking good until she had some very weird putting instances where she just looked very uncomfortable from circle one. But definitely Eveliina and Henna have what it takes to hit those narrow power shots that seems like no one else can truly hit. But you may be thinking, okay, well, what about Kristin? And she looked decent off the start, but then round two, it looked just like very uncharacteristic of Kristin. She had a lot of good birdies, but there was a lot of missed putts, OBs. She went OB 3 times and ended her round with a triple. Now, with that said, she did still finish under par with 2 under, but definitely not what you would expect for Kristin. And maybe it was just kind of like the wind or like a weird mental headspace. Whatever it was, just not her best. It was 969 rated, but she definitely came back strong with 8 under in a 1027 rated round, which may sound like, okay, does she have a fight for the win? Not even close. Nowhere near the win, because Ohn the dog Scoggins came in clutch. She was untouchable the entire way through. Honestly, I don't think you should ever not watch final rounds, but this definitely feels reminiscent of some events where you know Kristin's gonna win. It felt like that, but for Ohn. And I could not be more excited for Ohn. I highly recommend you guys rewatch Ohn's Domination because it is just insane. While her round 1 wasn't phenomenal, her round 2 was just insane with 14 birdies. And really, I think the biggest standout of this course is that it lines up so well for Ohn. You may not think it because it is kind of like a distance-esque wooded course, but I think that's actually where Ohn really does shine. If the holes were a little bit longer, I think she would not have done nearly as well, but with this current distance, I think she could do her overstable drivers that skip up right to the basket nearly every single hole, which gave her so much comfortability on every single shot shape. And then even when it wasn't comfortable, she was jamming in circle 2 putts like it's nothing. I really do not understand how she is so darn consistent with putting, but a crazy stat here is that even if Ohn went even if she went even, which she didn't get anywhere close to even, she still would have won the event. And that just shows the level of perfection that she had, even with a couple of missed circle 1 putts. So you may be thinking, okay, well, why is this like a historic event? Well, that is because Ohn the dog Scoggins has just had the highest overall rating of an event for FPO. So that means that there has never been a Kristin event, there's never been a Paige event that was rated higher than this, with a 1029 overall rating. And to add on to this, Ohn is a little bit injured as well. She's getting up there in age, but none of that seems to hinder her performance because she truly has every shot shape so dialed in. Even when it doesn't seem like it's even capable for her, she finds a way to get to the basket. And here's what she had to say.
I was not even thinking I'm gonna be a first player, to be honest. I think like somebody else gonna be winning, but I think it's my week is my week.
What does that feel like? What does that feel like?
It feels amazing. I still blow my mind. That's why I was like, what? Is this better than this? I'm like, yeah, you bring it good now. You know what? It's crazy. I speechless. I'm very happy. I'm over the moon. Like I said, when your week is your week, isn't it?
It's your week, Ohn.
So on to MPO. This is one of the events that I recommend you guys rewatch or simply watch in the first place because nearly every person in the top 10 had at least one point where you thought they might take it down. And you could say that about previous events, but no, this is truly one of the events where every single person I was like, can AB win? Can Calvin win? Can Gannon win? Can Cole win? Everybody had a look for potentially taking it down. So with that said, it makes it very hard to recap because there's so much to talk about here, but I'll just talk on some brief notes. Matty-O was looking very good throughout the entire tournament until the final round, back 9, where you just kind of expect him to dominate because he never really struggles under stress. Finishes his back 9 just 1 under, which which will not get you anywhere close to the win, finishes in 9th place. Andrew Marwede was looking very good as well, but there was just a couple of putts. Again, you just don't really expect Andrew Marwede to miss putts, but that did seem to be the case again and again whenever they cut to him. So even though this is probably a great opportunity for him to take down a win, it just was not the case because his putting was just a little bit off. With that said, he did hit the basket on a couple of drives, which is just so sick. Next up, Redalen. I definitely think he's one of those players that just struggles a little bit with stringing 3 rounds together, which was definitely the case here because his round 1 was only 1 under, which really set him off the pace. But man, he fought back hard with a 12 under in round 2, 1072 rated, and a 10 under in his final round, also 1072 rated. And it really looked like there was no drive he was afraid of, just utter confidence, and I definitely think he has what it takes to take down a win this year, but just had a couple of OBs in his final round that put him out of contention. But man, he was right there, almost tasting victory. Before we get to the top contenders, I think AB definitely looked good. He finished in 4th place, but he never really seemed in contention because he was just a little bit too far back from the leaders. So even though we had a great performance, 1055 rated, I think this is just going to become kind of like Gannon Buhr, just the new average. AB is just a great player that will play great at most events, and this seems to be evidence of that. But on to the top contenders, it really was a flip-flop between, okay, this player's gonna win, no, this player's gonna win. First one being Gannon Buhr, and this is definitely a player that probably should have won this event. And the reason that I say that is because he had so many chances to gain strokes during putting, but for whatever reason, it just would spit out, it would be just a little too far left, and he lost some major momentum, at least at the start of the round. And much like other players, he just had a couple of OBs that really set him back. But again, in the same case as AB, I think this is the new norm, where every single event he will fight for the win. Even if it doesn't seem like he has a good chance at it, he just continues to persevere with an eagle on hole 11 that looked so easy for him. But on to the top 3, we have Calvin, Kyle, and Niklas. Now going into the final round, I was thinking it was probably going to be an easy win for Niklas, but things are just not ever as simple as they seem, with Kyle absolutely shredding. With only 1 missed putt the entire final round, which was a circle 1 putt on hole 14, he was just utter lights out with a 1087 rated round. But what's more than that is he just looked so freaking confident the whole way through. He showed more emotion than I think I've ever seen from Kyle, and I truly hope we can see more of this as the year progresses, because I definitely think he's a player similar to others where if he has a good set of confidence, he plays way better. And man, he was feeling it with 9 under through 11, and despite not being able to finish out with a birdie, which would have put him in a playoff, he still finishes with the hot round of 12 under with 1087. But even with that amazing performance, he was not able to take it down. In the same vein as Cole, a 3 under to start his event was just not good enough to take down the win. But man, he was so close. He had 6 OBs in round 1, and even with that, he was still able to almost take it down. And before we get to the champion, let's talk about Calvin. He had 15 under to start the day, and I really was not even keeping track of him because I was like, I mean, yeah, he's probably gonna do good, but there's no way he even gets close to the win. That was not the case. He had such an electric start. He basically birdied almost every single hole, going 11 under up until hole 18, where he bogeys in the most unlucky fashion, because if he were to birdie it, it would have been a playoff. But with that said, this is still just a great performance from Calvin. I cannot wait to see him return to his true form, where he just dominates week after week. And this is definitely a great trend of that starting to occur. And basically, he was the only player to finish 100% circle 1, which will definitely gain you a lot of strokes. But with that said, his circle 2 was not the greatest, with him only getting 2 the entire event. But in much the same manner as other players, he just went OB far too much in round 1 and 2, which really put him back. But enough about all of these players. Let's talk about who is truly the shining player in this moment. Besides Ohn, Ohn was just a dominant force that is literally going to go down in history, at least for the time being, and that is Niklas. Going into the final round, I thought for sure Niklas will take it down, but everything was just looking like it might not pan out that way. There was just a couple of instances where he just didn't look the most confident, going out of bounds on hole 4 when you definitely want to get a birdie. He jams in the putt, of course, and then going OB on hole 6 in a very unlucky predicament. He went aggressive, which looked to be the right shot shape, but just went a little too far to the left, hit a tree, goes right into the OB, making it a very difficult comebacker, and he takes a double. Now at this point I was like, okay, I mean, it's not out of the question that he wins, but it is definitely much more difficult, and that does seem to be the way Niklas plays. He has such a dominant performance. He has all 3 rounds usually, but there's just those weird instances in the final round where it seems like he almost throws it away. He doesn't, but it almost feels that way because he's either just playing a little aggressive or he's just kind of making like a small mistake that will put him back a couple strokes. That seems to be the trend, but that does not matter today because he persevered after that double with 5 birdies and an eagle on hole 11. But there's so much more to say about this because going into hole 17 and 18, after an extremely uncharacteristic miss on hole 16, he basically knew that he had to birdie because Kyle Klein was just so dominant. There was just no way to take it down if you weren't going to birdie these 2 holes. And his drive on hole 17 was not ideal. It was definitely pinched off out of position, but Niklas just truly has ice in his veins and jams in the most ridiculous hyzer putt from 46 feet. I'll be honest, I love Niklas, but even in that moment, I was like, I just don't think he has what it takes. I think he's gonna just fall short, which is so sad, but that is not the case. He jams in his 46 footer, goes into hole 18, and it is almost pitch black on some cameras. It is getting really dark, and it looks to be like, okay, well, I just don't know if Niklas is going to birdie this, so it's probably going to go into a playoff against Kyle Klein, but nope, that is not the case. He has an amazing drive on hole 18. His upshot was less than ideal. It was like right around circle's edge, but more than that, it was forcing a straddle position, which is just not a comfortable look. And again, it is getting very dark. That is not the most ideal conditions to do very important putts in, but with that said, Niklas really did not spend too much time in preparation of this putt. He looked focused, determined, and jams in his circle 2 putt to win his first Elite Series event, making him the first Finnish player to win an Elite Series. And here's what he had to say, which honestly made me a little emotional.
When I came in the US for the first time in 2022, I only had one goal in my mind, and it was to be the first Finnish disc golf player to win on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And I did it today. Feels good.
Who do you have to shout out back home in Finland?
Oh my god. Sorry guys. Because of disc golf, I'm away from home like 6 months of a year, every year, and I sacrifice so much for the sport. I want to thank my family, my girlfriend, all my friends back home, and Discmania. Thank you.
And when I spoke to Niklas in Finland, I could just tell he was just oozing Finnish pride. He cares so much about his country and making his country proud that I think this win truly is one of his greatest accomplishments of his entire life, and I do not think he takes it for granted for 1 second. Sure, he does wish to win a major, but for the time being, winning this Elite Series is just the pinnacle, and I could not be more excited for him. And obviously Kyle had a great opportunity to take it down, but just fell a little short because Niklas was lights out, which is funny because Niklas did finish 4 strokes worse than Kyle in his final round. But oh yeah, did I forget to mention? Niklas freaking aced round 1. I don't know how I didn't mention this. He aced hole 10 in round 1, which was required to take down this win. And a funny stat from Statmando, this is the first time in MPO where a player has won and gotten an ace, dating back to your boy James Conrad, who aced at Worlds in 2021. I think it was hole 16. Just utter madness. So that is just one additional factor that made this event so darn fun to watch. And I definitely think Niklas was playing great before this, but I truly believe this will make it that much easier for Niklas to really perform in those high stress moments in the future, because now he has the monkey off his back. He is no longer worried about choking in these moments because he has the win. Now he can just kind of cruise in the same manner as AB. AB has so much built up stress from years of falling short, but now that he has that win, he's playing much more smooth, and it seems like his stress levels are a lot less. So hopefully that will be the same trend for Niklas. And another crazy stat that I didn't even mention is that the ratings here are just astronomically high. Even if you finished in 11th place, that is 1048 rated. Now I have no idea how these players are doing so well week after week, but it truly goes to show that if you do not have a dominant performance for every single round, then it really is tough to come back and get the win because people are just playing so well at every single round. But with that said, what do you guys think about this event? Truly one of the best disc golf events I think I have ever witnessed, and I cannot reiterate more that you need to watch this back. It is just so good. But with that said, be sure to subscribe, be sure to check out my bags, and thank you so much for watching. I'm currently in an Airbnb in LA because I just finished the marathon, so probably not the best time to record, but do what you gotta do when great disc golf happens. So thank you guys so much for watching. Wild Runs, signing out, peace.